Well, we're back to another episode of the Girlfriends Without Benefits podcast. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Ah, loaded question.
That is a loaded ass question, Cass. Do
And
you
that
really
is
want
why
to
I
ask?
did that. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say on these intros. Then I'm like, well, it'll come through. So
It always does.
I guess I'll give a little bit of a background as to what we're talking about. Today, we're talking about the swirl, and we're not talking about like chocolate vanilla ice cream swirl. Because that's where my head almost goes and wants to go. It's like, oh, swirl, good stuff. We're talking about the swirl slash spiral of mental health.
Mm,
Which is more like the toilet swirl. Like
correct.
swirly. Yeah, like
That's a
that.
good analogy.
It's like a twister, more or
Mhm.
less.
Mm-hmm.
Tornado.
Yes.
hmm
So, Kaylin, do you want to start us off a little bit? I feel like you can vibe with this.
Absolutely. I think we all can. It's tough to say where to start, right?
Where does the swirl start,
Because
though? Because we don't know where the start of the swirl is.
the start of the swirl is dependent upon the individual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think for even just the three of us, right? The start of my swirl definitely is different than the start of Jade's and Cass's completely, right? And I think too, kind of what we've talked about really in the past in this like mental health spiral that we can kind of get into is that like depending on where you are, who you're surrounded with, you can let it completely take you away and as the tornado touched down, right, and just implode, or you kind of what's going on the conversation that we just had with Jade, you can have your touch points and be like, something is not right with you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me,
Mm-hmm.
dish, what's going on? Like, you're not fooling me. And I think surrounding yourself with people like that know you and that you talk to on a regular basis or on some sort of, cadence so they can catch when things don't quite seem right and they're safe for you, that is huge to
Everything.
get you out
Yeah.
of that spiral. Yeah. So, I mean, where to begin with the spiral, right? Do we want to go off the deep end and talk about the loveliness that is, right? Where it starts with something small that could be just like a little trigger, or sometimes it starts with like you're basically getting dumped on with like all the triggers. And you're like, I'm handling it. I'm good. I'm handling this. I got this. I got this. And then you've basically set yourself up to handle all of the things at once. And then you just implode. Beautiful.
It sounds so simple. It's just I'm handling all of it, and then you just happen to implode.
Implode.
Yeah, it's quick.
Like
It's
NBD,
painless.
no big deal, guys. I'm just imploding.
Yeah. Not. It is far from painless and it is far from quick.
It's interesting because when I think of implode, I think of like basically bringing things in and then exploding. And then I think of explode, and it's obviously more of an outward motion. You say implode, and I'm like, no, like my trigger is then like once I hit that point, it's an explosion. So I just think it's really interesting the parallel between you're like, I'm gonna implode, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna bleh it out. Like I'm gonna get it out.
So again, talking about that mental health spiral. So I go dark.
Yep.
I go deep, dark, silent, which is probably because I live up here.
Yeah.
And so when I'm in my spiral, it's like pure darkness, quiet. Like like say less is literally me in my mental health spiral. Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I go in, I go quiet. I don't really talk to anyone or about anything, and I just retreat. And that is my implosion.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Cass, you just said that you like explode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is that?
What is that? So I feel like for me, I live in that dark place a lot of times. I kind of go through and dissect a lot of things on a daily basis. So I feel like for me, when I kind of go through that swirl and go through that spiral, I start going external versus going internal and dark. So then I'm like go to just places and just to go blah, like literally, and just like go do things to get like energy out. And I feel like that's a very like expressive nature of me, but I feel like it's also like a taking the internal of all of the things that are there and bringing them out. So
So
kind
do
of
you feel like it's a positive thing for you, or do you feel like it's a negative thing?
I think it's could be both. I think it's how you harness it. Like, so for me, like, it's funny because some people like will go to rage rooms and they're like, I don't understand the allure. And I'm like, I fucking love a rage room. Like, I would like one in my forever home, like, just to have that outward expression, like, is really good for me. But people are like, I don't understand. Like, breaking plates seems just very disruptive and destructive. And I'm like, it's fucking wonderful. Like, take a bat, go. So I feel like that for me, and it's a transmutation of energy, which same with for you, you just do the opposite, but it's a transmutation of the energy that I have. I have so much of it that it needs to go somewhere and it needs to get out.
Interesting. Per usual, I'm kind of both, right? Like I'm somewhere in between both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to like put it even into words. I think it's harder for me to put it into words when I'm in the middle of one. So I'm kind of in the middle of one said spiral. So it's hard for me to put into words like what the whole process looks like. Yeah, I feel like I need other people who know me. You guys have to explain maybe what you see, and then I'll see if I agree. What do you see
It's
me doing when I do
you
that?
you deflect a lot. So it's like basically, and I think we do this a lot just in general as humans, right? We give what maybe we also need to be receiving. And so I always feel like you really lean in when you need to be leaned into a little bit. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's almost
yeah.
like you
Mhm.
become like over accommodating in a way. Like, are you tired? Do you need this?
Do
Do
you
you
need
need that? And
water?
it's
Are
like,
you okay? Do you need a day? We're
do
like, Jade, do you
you
need
need
a
a day?
day?
That's interesting because that is really interesting. I've spent the last like 3 or 4 mornings like carefully dissecting all of my people's charts in ways that like getting in there with a fine tooth comb in ways I never have before, and like comparing notes and making notes and then giving them little tidbits of information to my kids and to my people like as they can handle it. And so I've been spending a lot of time dissecting them, and it helps me to do that, but it can become a deflection for sure. It can become um which is par for the course in our refer to codependency episode, right? Like that's what I do tend to do. That is my go-to nature, is just like seeking to heal in someone else what I'm afraid I can't heal in myself. So there is a deflection.
So it is
For
the
sure.
pre-code D episode.
Yeah, refer. Mm-hmm.
Episode number 27, I think. 27.
Yeah.
But what is interesting about that is in that spiral, right? You're almost taking on more responsibility when that is the last thing you need to be doing. If anything, you need
Right.
to be giving away responsibility right now when you are overwhelmed by the amount of stuff on your plate, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Prune, 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 back up, which is why I drew the cards that I drew today. 10 of Wands, followed by the 9 of Wands for listeners that love tarot like we do. Yeah, I think that I do tend to do that. And then some of that is also necessary because my spirals, if I think back in the past, are usually about and around my kids. And sometimes that's like necessary. Like I have to take on more because they're in a crisis situation of some sort and I have to, be there for them. So it's interesting.
But you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right. I know you and I know that anyone who's listening will understand this, like people who are in a crisis situation or in some situation where there's nothing they feel like they can give away and then there's no time to take care of themselves. I'm here to say, as someone who's walking it with you, that there always is a way to take care of yourself. There's always a way to find time to do that. And it just requires some forethought and requires planning, and it requires having the people in your life around you to support you. So it's not easy, but it's possible. Yeah. Yeah.
As someone who feels the need to pour into others, especially when I have nothing in my cup to pour, but will continue to pour from an empty cup, I can relate, because it's like, well, that's what I have to offer. So I will continue to offer. And it's almost a form of like, if you don't see how empty my cup is, then you won't see how terrible my mental health spiral is right now.
Yes.
And so if I can just pretend that my cup is full, then like it's all good and we can just keep going, and I'll just keep, or like, no one can handle, that's the other lie that I tell myself often. No one can handle what I'm going through right now. So I'll just keep it in, and I don't need to share it with anyone, and I'll just get through it.
I feel like that's a very common lie, though.
I was just about to say, like, I think every woman, especially every
For
woman, I won't
sure.
speak for the men, but I think every woman listening to this podcast is like, yeah, right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think, and what is so funny is that is just such a lie. It is such BS. We all have at least one person in our life, and if not, you can hire someone, you can pay someone to be that person for you.
Yeah.
That can handle what it is that you're going through and can support you with it. And it's fantastic.
Just as a little cliff notes, Kaylin's not referring to hiring a friend. She's referring to hiring a therapist or a licensed social worker,
or someone to clean your house, or someone to cook for you. Like, yes, like that is
someone to clear your energy.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes.
And I will say, is having been someone who I lived a lot of my life literally unable to afford even like an extra bag of grapes. So I'm not being, I know you can relate, Cass, but from your childhood, but like as a mother, I literally had to budget to the penny. I did not have any money, and I didn't have any family help. So when I would start to spiral and my kids were in crisis, I literally felt like I was the only person, and there was no one, because I was the pastor's wife. I was supposed to be strong. And we have this kind of bullshit pastor's care group that I shouldn't anyway. Point being, as someone who's been in a place where I'm like, I literally can't afford to have someone clean my house or make food for me, I still think that there's always a way to reach out. I think that you
know what's free?
Yeah, say the word.
Going on a walk.
Yes.
Finding a nature and yelling.
Yes.
Or talking to yourself.
Yes.
Like you have someone there with you.
Yes.
On a walk and spilling the beans of whatever the fuck you're going through.
I did all of those things, and yes,
it's free.
Super valuable.
And it is very helpful. It is so helpful.
Yep.
Removing yourself from the situation that is hurting you.
Yes.
Regardless of how long if you only have 5 minutes to remove yourself from the situation, then only taking those 5 minutes and finding a place where if you need to just like yell into your pillow in your room, and that's as far away as you can get from the situation. Like that also does help.
Exactly.
I want to bring us back to the grape analogy for a second. Because I love you, but grapes to me are fucking bullshit. You're like, oh, 99 cents a pound, and you bring it up there and it's like 7 pounds of grapes.
I know, grapes are so expensive.
That's where my head went when you said that. I was like, oh shit.
You're like, I've put the grapes back before too, and I have plenty of money. Like, this is ridiculous.
It's funny because I'm like,
holy it's funny. I've never looked at how much grapes are.
They're so expensive.
They're just like heavy apparently, because I was like, oh, it's just a little bag. It's like $17.99 in grapes.
Yes. So apparently I need to start looking at my grocery receipts and seeing how much I'm paying for grapes.
It's crazy. I still make if whoever's with me grocery shopping or myself, I'll take out a big clump and put it in another bag. So I'm like, I don't even
You're that person. You're the person that overfills the damn bags of grapes. Fuck both of you.
Hashtag me too.
I'm the person that's like, who needs this many grapes? Why are they filling these bags of grapes so big?
Because Cass and I have been there before.
You guys have been there making your bags smaller, so the rest of us got to buy the big ass bags
But see,
and
now my
pay for the grapes that go bad.
Oh gosh, there's so many questions that I can go with this. But Kaylin, now my question for you is, do you not take them out of your own bag? Do you just like, oh well, I guess I'm subject to this?
No, I just try and find the bag that has like the amount that I guess we're gonna eat. And if I buy a big ass bag of grapes, I'm like, Hayden, your ass is eating grapes for every damn meal this week. We're not buying any other fruit, so you're getting grapes.
Interesting.
Last night, actually, because we just got back from vacation, and we had some grapes left, and we had gone grocery shopping yesterday, and he wanted strawberries, so we got strawberries too. And so with his dinner last night, I was like, buddy, you got to have grapes. And he's like, but I want strawberries. We just got them. I'm like, the grapes are going to go bad before the strawberries. You're getting grapes. And so I gave him grapes, and I gave him a larger, amount because we have a lot of them. Whatever he doesn't eat is just going to go bad. And he got like halfway through and he was like, Pump, can I be done? You gave me a lot of grapes.
And so my bag of grapes in my fridge has a little tiny amount, when they're at the bottom and they start to get not good anymore. Sophia, on her way out the door this morning for work, I was like trying to shove the bag of grapes into her hand. I'm like, take grapes. You didn't bring any fruit. And she's like, I don't want the grapes, Mom. Like, she's like, why are you trying to feed me these grapes?
Just throw them away or make some wine. One or the other.
So this podcast took a turn. So anyway, this is not being sponsored by Welch's or any grape company, but if you're a wine manufacturer and you'd like to sponsor us, please reach out. Because clearly alcohol is needed in the mental health spiral.
Yeah. This makes so much sense to me now. No wonder those bags are the ones that are literally overflowing with grapes. It's you two. You guys don't put them in the bags that have like, a normal amount. You put them in the ones that are already filled.
Yeah, so please DM us and tell us if you've ever noticed the price of grapes and removed some grapes into someone else's bag, or if you're a Kaylin, it's just like, well, guess we're eating grapes. You can't do anything about it.
Just a big ass bag of grapes is all they have.
But coming back to earth and coming back to the mental health piece, I feel like there's even a lot of parallels in here from like, are you willing to like take something out that no longer serves you or that you don't need, that like is not benefiting you, and actually giving it to someone else?
Apparently not me. I'll just let it go bad. Fuck.
I tried to get us back and I couldn't. Let's be honest. We're not going back after that.
No, we are. No, what's funny is it's true. I feel like in the last really 2 years, I've had to spend a lot of time working through and like getting to the point where I feel comfortable pouring out a little bit if I don't need it, and like getting rid of things if I can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, I literally would take on more than I could handle to the point where like things would go bad.
Mm-hmm.
To my own demise. Like it was like, well, I'll just take on more. I'll just do more. Just do a little bit more.
I love that. We can totally swing with this grape analogy further, because what was I doing before? I wouldn't even take the bag of grapes. I was like, those can't be mine. I can't have them. It's like too much. Like just leave them there for someone else. And so I think that now at least I take the bag of grapes. I still now I buy them. Like I deserve grapes. It's like everybody else.
Oh yeah, you deserve grapes.
I freeze mine if there's too much.
You freeze them?
You do?
Yeah,
you freeze them?
That.
What do they taste like?
Frozen grape?
No.
Oh, you guys both have to go put a grape in your freezer. It's like an Italian ice deliciousness. Go put a grape in your freezer now.
Be right back.
Do you be right back? Do you want them to be like more ripe, like a banana when you freeze it? Does it taste better that way, or does it
necessarily? It's just it crystallizes and like does a magic to the sugar. So it's just like this little sweet cold bomb.
Oh my goodness! Why have I never done that?
If you guys aren't on YouTube, which I highly suggest our YouTube channel, you'll see Kaylin left the conversation.
She literally left to go freeze her grapes.
It works though. It really does. Like, I don't know. I grew up, like I said, with very, with no, I mean, not even 2 pennies to rub together. Like we had
Yes.
money, but money went to different substances and things in our household.
Right.
So like my mom would freeze, like if we had grapes and there was too many, because my mom probably didn't take them out of one bag and put them to the other. She would freeze them and like in little Dixie cups. And like that was a summer treat. She would give us a handful of frozen grapes. So
I love
a little
that.
bit of nostalgia.
Try.
I've seen people recently on TikTok do like frozen grapes and like put juice on them and Jello, and that honestly disgusts me a little
disgusting.
bit.
No.
That really sounds gross. So, like it tastes like
No.
Sour Patch, and I'm like, that just looks like chemicals. So no, thank
Mhm.
you.
Well, same with the balsamic, what is it? The balsamic vinegar and seltzer water to replace Diet Coke on TikTok. Have you guys seen that?
False. There's
No.
no way in hell it tastes like Diet Coke.
False.
Exactly. No, first of all, nothing replaces Diet Coke. Let's just
Correct.
put that out there. Second of all,
Correct.
balsamic vinegar and seltzer water together. No, it's not a thing.
Absolutely not. There's no way in hell that tastes like cola.
No, correct. But anyway, yes, on weird TikTok food trends.
Anyway, but that's what I've seen of frozen grapes, not just like just chilling with frozen grapes.
So you just pop them in the freezer. So
Well, ta-da.
we'll report back next episode how Kaylin liked the frozen grape.
I still feel like the analogy carries. It's just so solid. We haven't really digressed. We're still on mental health. We're just like transferring it to
And you know what? My closing piece of this is going to be, if it doesn't work and the frozen grapes don't get you going, squished grapes will. Go grab a bottle of wine.
A few more weeks.
Oh yes, that's right. A few more weeks. Actually, by the time this episode goes live, it'll actually only be like 3 weeks. So
hell yeah.
by the time
wow,
you'll be
that's crazy.
almost fully baked.
I feel almost fully baked already. So
Well,
all that to say, I do want to bring us back to mental health real quick, because I think there's something important about the spiral that we did not address, which is once you are in the spiral all the way in deep, it's touchdown, you've had the explosion or whatever the fuck it is that happens to you when you're in your mental health spiral, right? Then what? Then what?
Then what?
Like, what happens?
Is that another episode?
I think that's our cliffhanger. We love them. We love cliffhangers.
We do.
I'll chat on about this with you guys next episode.
Let's do it.
See you guys next episode. Bye.